Hello! Today we'll be looking at the SNT JustAir little FPV car. This is kind of a continuation, if you like, from a product called the Q33, which I reviewed on my channel a little while ago. A really nice car, really horrendous goggles. And if you're thinking, hey, you're a bit late to the party, I saw reviews of this ages ago from other people, and there's a reason for that, and it's because I had a problem with the original. And I also had some feedback for SNT about what I didn't like about it, and the main thing was it felt very restrictive because it wouldn't run on carpets, and my house and many other houses are carpeted and it's a bit of a pain. And kudos to them, they were revising the model, and one of the things they did is come out with a new model that would work on the carpets, and I've got that here. Now, first off, this is available in a couple of different configurations. You can get the big pack. It's got the controller, it's got the FPV car, and it's got some FPV goggles. And you'll notice from the picture, they look an awful lot better than the previous goggles. And if you're wondering what the connection to Diatone is here, SNT is the sort of parent, and its brands are JustAir and Diatone. So it's all the same thing still, but just differently labelled. But you can also buy it individually as a car, and you can get the controllers on their own as well, and you can even get it without the FPV, so it's just a regular car. Now, I've got one of the limited edition ones, which is very exciting. They're available right now, if you're quick, at a discounted rate, and you get some interesting colours with them. If I open up the box, not much to it, you get some instructions, you get this little display case and the car itself. Just get this charging cable, and this is the car. I've got the orange FPV version. Obviously you'll need the controller with it, whether you've got the individual one or the one from the big box. Here's the controller. It's got this little angled wheel. It's got multiple buttons to do various things. You've got the obvious trigger for go and brake. And if we look at the big box version, which I will be doing, these are the goggles. I've installed the antennas. One interesting thing about them is they have an SD slot, so there's an inbuilt DVR there as well. And they're not too bad on the face. They're reasonably comfortable. But let's go to close up. Let's go through the functions of everything in a bit more detail, and then we'll take it for a proper drive. So in front of me, all the various bits and bobs, and you got stuff that I won't go into. This is a lead where you can go out of the goggles or into the goggles with a phono lead. There's all the charge cables for the goggles and the car itself. But let's start with the controller, because there's quite a lot going on here. Aside from the fact they've attempted to come up with a slightly more ergonomic idea where your wrist isn't straight, it's sort of mirrors how you'd hold it normally, which is quite nice. You've got things like the power switch here, just turns it on and it flashes. You've got power here. Power minus means it's going to drive it at 70% power, power plus is 100% power. You've got a power output here. This is actually, if you can hear something rattling around, what we've got in here is a little USB-C to USB-C adapter, and we can plug that in there, and then we can plug the car in like that, and it will actually charge from the battery in there if you want it to. I don't need to because I already fully charged it. There is a spot for that here. It does rattle about a bit, so put it in a bit of something if you don't want it to. Now this one came with the 18650 battery. Unfortunately, there's no provision in the box for charging an 18650, so you will need alternative charging arrangements. Alternatively, we've got this thing which will fit 3 AAA batteries, and that fits in instead of the 18650. On the other side, you've got, it's labelled steering. Essentially, these are trim buttons to make sure it's going in a straight line. And then you've got buttons to do various things on a car. Let's turn this on and turn the car on so we can actually show you that. As far as the car goes, you've got USB-C for charging. When it charges, it flashes. When it finishes, it stops. And you've got the single button here that turns things on. You will notice that it has lights both underneath and headlights. This first button here is the headlight button. You can go through various colours, or you can turn them off altogether. The second button is the under car lights. It's probably easier to see there. Sort of purple, blue, green, blue and off. So I'll turn that on and I'll turn the lights on. This third button along turns the VTX on and off. If you have a look here, you'll see there's no light. If I press that, it does light up and that starts the VTX going. And this last button here is called user if you hold it down 3 seconds, basically it goes into bind mode. You don't need that if you ever got a separate radio and car. As far as the car goes, if it's got no connection within 8 seconds, it goes into its bind mode by itself. Full proportional control and a range of throttles. It is a nippy little thing, and you go backwards obviously. It can go very fast for a little car like this. That's the main controls on that bit. As far as the goggles go, again, inbuilt rechargeable battery. You've got a USB micro for charging there, and what you've got out of the box, this thing works on 4 possible channels. There is a little button just there where my thumbnail is, which will go through the 4 channels. So as it goes out of the box, this is set to 4 channels, that's down, that's up, and it's called channel A, B, C, D. If you want to, you can hold these buttons down for like 4 seconds. This unlocks it, so it's a regular 40 channel thing, and you can go through the normal bands and normal channels. You can turn it on like this, and we're picking up nothing at the moment because the car's not on. If we turn the VTX on, that's our view of the car there. You see it says channel A, and as I said before, if we go through these, channel B, C, D, and back to A, because I haven't bothered unlocking these. I've put my own SD card in. If you're going to use this to record with, you'll obviously need an SD card, and you want to format it in here, which you can do through the menu button. It's a pretty simple operation. You just press record, and you see we get a little red light appear there, and there, and we just press record again, and it stops going. If we look in the goggles here, we can press the menu button, and we can go through various options and bits and pieces you can go ahead and do stuff with. It also includes going into the DVR, and we can, once it loads, either review our footage here, or as I think many people do, you can just take the SD card out and obviously put it in a computer. And that's just some footage I already filmed of me just driving around the house, but we'll get to that in a sec. So that's the quick overview of the hardware. So let's go ahead and do some driving on this thing. Now this actually runs on the carpet, opens up a lot more of the house to drive around and see how it goes. I'll be recording throughout and wearing these goggles. One note on the goggles, I could put them on without my glasses. I'm short-sighted and I could see pretty well. It only means that I worry slightly for long-sighted people who might not be able to focus on that. I don't know. I can't find any long-sighted people to test it with, but just be wary of that one. There's no movable Fresnel lens or anything. So here I am in my lounge or living room, as some of you guys might say, and I've got the car, I've got the controller, and I've got the goggles. So I'm just going to drive it around the house, see what I can get up to. Using this as more a little exploring thing rather than trying to get it fast. I kind of like that. I mean, you can certainly set up your own racetrack or something like that, but for this one, I'm just going to drive it around, see what happens, see what the range is like. It says the range is about 20 meters. In most people's houses, that pretty much covers the floor, depending on how huge your mansion might be. But yeah, let's get this thing turned on and let's try it. So I'll be talking you through this with the goggles on and seeing what I see, and letting you know what I feel. Right, so off we go. And you've got some good hazards like the dog bone here. As I said, the earlier version would just not work on carpet. Going on carpet is a bit different because it's all a bit slippy and slidey, especially if it's quite a thick pile like this one. But the fact it now works means we can, do stuff and explore around all areas. So let's go over here. This is into hardwood, and you can see it's a lot easier to control. But it can be a problem going over little bumps like this. Now, throughout the house, I've kept it natural light because I wanted to see how it would do in sort of, natural lighting conditions. And it does okay. I don't think it does particularly well in low light, but it's doing okay here. So let's just be careful. Just to give you an impression of the speed. Yeah, that's going pretty quick. It gets a little bit harder to control there. So here we have, whoop. that knocked it on its side, and that antenna into the floor really didn't help. But let's go over there again. Let's go a slightly different way. So let's carry on. As you saw, the speed when we go for it is pretty aggressive, and you can go reasonably fast here. It's just kind of faster than you need to. So there we go. Watch out for the coax there. It looks like I need just a little bit of trim here. I'm having to correct myself. Oh, yeah, we lost connection there. So it just kind of goes off on its own. Yeah, too many walls in the way, and it will not do so well. Okay, so let's go a different direction. We've got, if we pop around here. Here's the hallway. Whoop. This is tricky to drive. It's tricky to get out of. That's better. There's a mirror. Oh, I can't quite see me. I'm at the wrong angle. So let's pop back into the kitchen this way. Got a bit stuck down something. Back on the hardwood. That's better. So, can we get under here, I wonder? Ooh, be careful what you wish for. It's not so clean under here. You can also just have a peek under here. I mean, when it loses signal, it seems to lose everything. Let's just try that. See, it seems to be pulling slightly to the right there, so let's try a bit of... I don't know which way the trim is. That seems better. Alright, let's try putting the hammer down and see what we get. Now we're moving. Whoa! that was a bigger turn than I imagined. Let's bring it on back here. This seems a good point to talk about something else that SNT sent me, which was this little racing mat. Let's go get it and I'll show you what it looks like. Welcome to the racetrack. Yep, this is just a piece of little rug that you can put down and you can race the cars on. It's actually sort of made for the follow-up to this one called the R27, which is, it could be out by now actually, and similar to this but a more modular camera that comes out. So I thought I'd just show you how this looked like, because doing it line of sight and doing it in the goggles is two completely different things. But also let's just show you what it looks like just going around, because it's pretty quick actually, slightly too quick just to go around everywhere full throttle. You've really got to take it easy. So let's quickly show that. Okay, this is me just driving around line of sight, and you notice it's pretty slow because it's not that easy. There's a thing here called the drift zone, but I mean, it doesn't exactly drift, this thing, it does slide around and stuff. But in terms of how fast it could be going, it's like too fast to stay at the mat. I'm not sure if I'm on 100% or not. 100% is hard to keep going. What I'm going to do now is pop the FPV goggles on, and so you can compare what it looks like in the goggles to how it looks in terms of line of sight, because the actual speed you think you're going in the goggles is slightly different to how it looks. Okay, let's go. We're racing, and already it feels like I'm going so quick. And hang on, I've cocked up the cord there. Yeah, the only problem with just the flat mat, of course, it's very flat, so you kind of need some some details around the track to sort of help you out where you are. This track I think could do a bit of an iron as well, but because my only time I use an iron is for laminating wings, that could be tricky from my point of view. Oh, cut the corner. But I know from watching this line of sight that this is going to look really slow, but when you're in the goggles it's much quicker. But I think you can imagine, I'd have to put barriers up really to stop me doing that. Even at this speed, if you got a couple of friends messing around doing this sort of thing, I think it'd be a fun time. Like sort of Scale Electric, but where you can crash into each other and die more. And of course, as soon as someone got ahead of you, you'd be really putting the wrists around certain corners and that to try and go a bit quicker, wouldn't you? Oh no. I think you'd then need a marshal as well to say, hey, you just went over the barrier, which I may have done. You can kind of just spin it out a little bit with, whoops, with the throttle at the right time. Oh dear. I think I'd be black flagged at this point. Oh, what was it trying now? I haven't tried to go in reverse. I wonder what that's like. Let's have a see if it works reverse. Literally never tried this. Ooh. There's that, and then there's. Oh. Yeah, not so good. But SNT say, you know, they want to get people racing on this mat and sort of, you know, doing their best times and whatever and sharing them. So it'd be interesting because it is, I mean, it is quite hard. We're sort of full lock around some of the corners, trying to get around. But if we went too slow, it would feel too slow. So there's definitely something to be had. I can't talk and concentrate at the same time, it would seem. There, that's a better line, wasn't it? There, and then sort of, okay, I've cut a little bit too much. Cutting the apex a little bit too much there, I feel. But, you know, I think we're getting faster. Oops. As far as the battery life on these things go, I don't know. I haven't run out of batteries yet. We're talking like, I think the website suggested like half an hour even with the FPV camera. I certainly run it for sort of 20 minutes with the FPV with the lights on and it's still going. So it lasts a while and it doesn't take too much to fill up again and recharge. So that's something that's really got going for it. I just wanted to see what this scale would look like. This is my not quite halfway done yet Lego Millennium Falcon. And the answer is it's quite interesting to drive through. But Chewie looks very big when you get up close to him. So I spent a good couple of days with this, driving it around the house and doing things like annoying my wife while she's trying to do work and playing with the dog, who's actually much more into it than she looks here. One thing I wanted to say about the lights is just treat them as a bit of fun. Although they light up the car very nicely, they don't work as headlights, and if you try FPVing in the dark you'll be a little bit disappointed, but that's not the main point of this little car. Well, there you go. I've had a lot of fun driving this, and I have to say these goggles are pretty high quality. I had a little problem with the sync going out about putting DVR next to like filmed footage, but that's not really a problem with the DVR, it's more of a problem of trying to sync things up. But yeah, I was pretty impressed. Comfortable, it works quite well. All the footage you saw there was from the internal DVR and that worked quite well. Car did well, easy to control, easy to steer and use. We hit a problem with range a couple of times, although it says about 20 metres. That's a clear line of sight thing. As soon as you start going for a couple of walls and stuff, you might encounter problems. So just be careful. I found, for example, where I was cutting off going through the kitchen, that if I sat myself in a different room where I was kind of in the middle of everything, then I could do the entire floor, not a problem. So it's all about where you are and where you sit and how far you want to go, really. But yeah, it's not quite the same as putting, like, you know, Express LRS in or anything. You can't go hundreds of meters, but normally this will do you around, you know, your good couple of rooms or the entire floor, depending on how it's laid out and how many walls you've got and stuff like that. Yes, so this has been the SNT Q25 review, and it was kindly supplied by SNT. I said this is the big version with the goggles and the limited edition colour car and the controller. It is so much better than the original was. The fact that you couldn't run the original carpet, I thought really restricted things, and it's a lot better now. So I was pretty impressed with this. I just like things that I can use in the house, because sometimes where I live, and I have to say a lot of the time at the moment, the weather is terrible. It's either raining or the wind is up and it gets dark so early. It's hard to go out and fly stuff. So flying things like whoops indoors, messing around with little things you can do indoors or just on the desktop or anything is good fun. So check it out if you're interested. Hope this review's been helpful, and I'll catch you next one. Bye for now.
Well, you've made it to the end of the video, so thanks once again for watching. If you like what you saw, then please consider subscribing, and if you really like what you saw, then be sure to check out the link to my blog for a variety of ways in which you can help support this channel.